Hi, and welcome to part 5 of the SMX theater screen installation. Today we're going to cover the motorization, particularly how to program the motors. A couple things I want to point out to start with. I'm using this nylon strap in place of an actual mask material. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to be able to show you how the motor actually turns and how it works behind the scenes. And I also, if you look around, my theater is not quite ready for installation of theater screen fabric that I want to keep nice and clean. But I do want to jump ahead and show you how the motorization actually works, finish things off. A couple things to point out. When you're choosing your mask material, you want to make sure that there's not a lot of stretch in it. If you end up with a material that's stretchy, what will happen is it's going to sag and drape a little bit, and that's going to cause uneven pulling on this aluminum bar. That will cause a lot of problems. It will cause binding up. If you do end up needing to use a material that has some stretch to it, you probably will want to come along the back side of it and install some sort of nylon webbing or something behind it, so that, you know, just sew it into the back so that it will keep it from stretching. That might be the case if you require an acoustically transparent mask. There are some acoustically transparent mask materials that I've seen that aren't particularly stretchy, but something like a DMX material, if you're familiar with that, would be very, very stretchy and problematic. Depending on the weight of the material you choose, you may also have to adjust the sizing of the shock cord so that it gives a nice pull, because a heavier material is going to exert more force in this direction on the aluminum bar there, which could also cause sagging if the shock cord is not sufficiently strong. So just some things to keep in mind as you look at your material. But we're not going to actually install material today. We're going to talk about the motor. So we've got this nylon cord or nylon strap here, and I've got it just taped to the roller here, and I've got that on top and bottom, and that will represent our masking material. I've also gone to the trouble of installing an inline switch here on the motors, and the reason I've done that is because I don't have great access to the actual outlet after the screen's installed, and you will need occasionally to shut off those motors. For example, right now, when I'm programming, I want to program just one motor at a time. And the reason for that is because, you know, they might be in slightly different positions, or you may want to reverse the direction of one of the motors, and you can't really do that if they're both on and accepting the program commands at the same time. Also, if you want to ever reset the memory on the motors, all of the smarts reside in the motors themselves. The remote controls don't actually remember anything or contain any of the programming. So if you want to reset the motor, you do have to go through this procedure of shutting on and off the motor a few times to clear the memory. So I definitely want to make sure that I have access to turn on the motor, turn on and off the motor after I install the screen. You don't have to install switches, but it might be a good idea if you don't have access to the power. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how the motorization actually works. We're going to start by verifying the direction of the motor and actually pairing it to the remote. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take this in steps because I want to make sure that I get all of the programming steps correct. And I'm using a TELUS 4 remote. It's a common remote for the Somfy motors. And I'd highly recommend picking up one of these, even if you don't ultimately use this to control your shades or your masking system, because it's great for troubleshooting and just for getting started at the very least. It's really easy to program and set up. You know, eventually if you integrate it with some of the Somfy wireless products, like the integration with the smartphone or the Lutron bridge. You won't need this, but it's great to have on hand just in case and just to get going. So I've gone ahead and erased the memory, and the first thing I want to do is check the orientation or the direction of the motor. What I want is when I press up, I want the screen to go this way, the masking to go outwards on both sides. And when I press it down, I want the masking to come inwards on both sides, which means that I'm going to have to reverse the direction of one of them. So the first off, you have to pair. You can see right now, if I press the buttons, nothing happens. And to pair it, all you have to do is press both up and down at the same time. And you saw that little jog. That's kind of a confirmation that it worked. And so now if I press up, it goes this way. If I press down, it goes the other way. That's backwards of what I want. So all I have to do to change it is hold down the My button for 5 seconds. You see that little confirmation. And now if I press up, it goes in like I want it to, or I guess it goes out, rolls up. And when I press it down, it goes the other direction. So that's how you adjust the direction of the motor if you need to. All right, now we're going to program our limits, and our limits are going to represent the places where it will automatically stop. So when we press down, it's going to travel to the 4x3 setting there, and when we press up, it's going to stop right at the CinemaScope, and it will do that automatically. And so we will never actually travel from the 4x3 up to our max again. We will always have a little bit of fabric rolled up there. So getting started with this is pretty easy. What we're going to do is we're going to first actually set it to where we want our minimum position to be. And you can fine tune these limits actually later using a different procedure. But for now, basically you try to get it to your minimum position that you want it to be at. And then we're going to press up and My at the same time. It will start traveling. We will stop it where we want it to be the max setting, and then we'll press My and down. And then it will travel back down to the minimum position. So let's go ahead and do that. We press up and My, starting at the minimum position. It's going to start traveling on its own. We can press My to stop it and fine tune its position. So I'm going to stop it, and then I'm going to maybe go up a little bit more, and we'll say that's good. And now I'm going to press My and down at the same time. And now see, it's automatically traveling. It should stop at our 4x3 setting there. Okay, and then to confirm that, we hold down the My for 5 seconds. Okay, now the settings are there, but we need to actually save them. And to do that, there's a little button on the back, and we're going to have to press that. So now, if I press up, it should automatically travel to that max position. And then stop. And if I press down, then I can watch my nice old school 4x3 television aspect ratio. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so now we have our CinemaScope aspect ratio and our television aspect ratio. And now let's say we want to do the 16:9. So the way we program that is we're going to tell it to go up, and then we're going to stop it. We're going to try to get it right about where we want it. It might be a little tricky. Okay, and then we're going to hold the My button for 3 seconds. That should program that. So now if we go down, get the 4x3. If we go up, we got our CinemaScope. And then if we press my, it should take us to the middle. Beautiful. Now we just have to do that to the other side. Okay, I'm going to try to program this other side all in one cut, and we'll see how it goes, just to show you the entire process from start to finish. So I start out with nothing, so you have to pair it first. So you press both up and down to pair it, and I believe this one will already be the right direction. So we'll try it. If we go up, it should roll it up. Okay, so it is the right direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with it down here at our 4x3, so I'm going to fine tune it a little bit. Okay. Now to set our lower position, we're going to press my and up. It starts moving by itself. Let's stop it. I'm actually going to let it go down just a tad so it doesn't slam. Okay, and then we press mine down. So now we have our upper and lower limits. I'm going to hold down my to confirm. Okay, and then I'm going to press the program button. With one hand. Okay, now I'm going to set the middle position. I'm going to roll it up. Stop it. Oh, perfect. I'm going to hold this down. And now I should have all the settings. It's the middle position. Should stop in the middle. And then all the way up. Beautiful. Okay, so the end result should be that I can turn the power back on the other motor. And we should have a working masking system with memory set to all three of our aspect ratios that we want. Now, the positions are absolute, so you can see right now that the right-hand side over here is in the 16:9 position, and the left-hand side's in the cinemascope. But the positions are absolute, so what's nice about that is if you happen to turn off one motor, they don't have to remain in sync all the time. If I press the my button, hopefully this one will go to 16:9, and that one's already at 16:9. So let's try that out. So now they're in sync even though they weren't before. So you can do maintenance on one of the motors and you don't have to worry about making sure that it's in the right position necessarily, other than maybe making sure that the screen material is taut. You may have to reprogram one side, but the other one won't need to be reprogrammed. So let's go ahead and try all of the settings. Let's start with the 4x3. Okay, and then we want to go 16:9. And then we want to go cinemascope. All right. Looking good. So it's probably going to be a while before I do another video. I think I've gotten far enough along on this that most people will understand that they can make a screen that has masking and they don't have to spend a lot of money. They don't have to necessarily do a lot of custom work, spend a lot of effort on it. As you can see, my theater is not quite ready for screen material, so it'll probably be a few months before I make an update. But yeah, I hope that this has been an informative series and that people can take this and maybe improve it and share their thoughts and information I look forward to seeing what people come up with. Thanks.